Hi, my name is Eric Patrick Thomas. I'm age 42. Today's date is Monday, August 19th, 2019. We are located here in Flint, Michigan. And I am here with Jessica Sackman. She is my graphic design artist and my assistant and my friend. Good morning, Jessica.
Good morning, Eric. My name is Jessica Sackman. I am 35 years old. Today's date is Monday, August 19th, 2019. We are located in Flint, Michigan. I am talking to Eric Patrick Thomas, who is my friend and employer.
All right. Thanks for that introduction.
You're welcome.
You know, it's great that we're here sharing stories. I can think of many stories,
We have many stories.
many stories. It's never a dull moment
Nope.
with hanging out with me, while we're hanging out together.
Right.
I'd like to share something when you first got hired with me, your very first day
Oh, no.
that you thought was going to be your last day. Let's see how that went. Why don't you let people know what happened when we pulled up when you strapped me down into the van?
Well, I don't remember what happened when I strapped you down into the van, but I remember getting to the shop over on Ava Road at Goodwill, and you rolled down the ramp, and I left the ramp down. I never put the ramp up, and it was either your nose or your eyes that were itching or watering. And you're like, "Hey, Jess, go grab that tissue. Need to wipe my eye." And I tripped over the ramp, and I punched you in the face.
You did.
I did.
You did. I don't know if you were trying to set
and
that
I
bar.
thought that was a great first day and last day.
I think you were just trying to set the bar, like you were just trying to push, like what
Yes.
what could I get away with? Yeah.
Just like start it here, and everything from here on out would be awesome. So this is. But
A punch in the face.
right. You were cool though. You were like, it's okay as your eyes are watering.
Yeah, no.
Punching you in the nose.
Were you terrified?
A little bit.
You thought it was over. That was it.
Yeah.
Well, with having so much experience working with other people, punch in the face, just
Right.
give them another chance.
I appreciate the 7 more years of chances.
7 more years, yes. 7 more years. You remember the first day that you came into the shop and I was testing you? And I was like, I think my dad was there, and we had the vinyl, and I was like, "Can you weed this?" And you were like, "All right." And it's like, I'm like, "Okay, let's see what else you got." After you weeded it all,
You hired me for my skills.
and then
Why?
I was like, "All right, press these shirts." It was like, what type of training? I mean, what type of? How many times have you went to a job where you were just like thrown into it? Like, here, just see what you got. That was like your whole interview.
That was
You
nice.
really didn't have an interview process.
Well, I was interviewed by my supervisor at Goodwill
Oh yeah.
just to make sure I wouldn't punch you in the face. But I
Did you
accidentally
research
punched
me?
you.
Did you research me before you ever started working for me?
I totally did. I was like, okay, there's Eric Patrick Thomas. We know he's from Flint, and we know he uses a wheelchair. So how hard can this guy be to find? So I get on Facebook and start looking around, and there's like Eric Thomas, the hip hop preacher, and I was like, nah, that can't be him. And then I found Eric Thomas. And I believe it was an article in the Flint Journal. It was like you were celebrating 10 years of surviving injury. There was like a picture of your mom and
Oh, that was at Maxie's.
Yeah, I saw that, and then I found your Facebook page,
Oh,
and then I just figured out who you were.
she did like Facebook stalking a little bit.
A little bit. I mean, it's kinda.
That's good though.
I think it's good
It's good.
etiquette.
Hey, that's one of the things I always talk about is do your homework. So there you go.
Right.
You were you took on one of the things that I always talk about. I'm trying to think of some of the fun stories. But what about when, well, you had that uneasy feeling? I remember the very first time that I felt like, oh my gosh, was the time that we had the deadline of the
Oh,
family
yeah.
reunion shirts.
Yes.
Where
Oh
we
my
didn't even
gosh.
know. We didn't even know. The only reason that we knew that that was the deadline is because we went through the lunch, we went to the cafeteria.
Right.
Just think of all the days that we don't go to the cafeteria. We go out to eat, or we're just busy working. We don't get a chance to eat in there. But we went in there and we were just like, yeah. And the girl was all excited. She was like, yeah, gonna be out of here at 3 o'clock, ready to go up north. And I was remember I was like, I'll take my lunch into the. We just took the tray of food into the
We're
shop.
like, we're just gonna eat in the office
Yeah.
today.
Yeah, we were like, oh my gosh. That was like, I don't even know how we pulled that off.
I think that's the fastest I have ever made a shirt.
How many shirts was it? Was like 30 or?
Oh, there were a good amount. It was definitely over 12.
And it was the picture too.
Yeah, it was the picture.
That was the other thing. We never knew. We didn't know how to do the pictures. We didn't know how to do the pictures. Remember the first one? We didn't even take the backing off.
Yeah, it was mucked up.
Yeah,
We
and
made
then
it work though.
we did make it work.
They look great.
But remember, we stalled her too because she had to go to the bank.
Yeah.
She had to go to the bank, and we were like, we're just putting on the finishing touches, and she was like, I'm already up. I'm going up north. And I'm like, okay, she's going to the bank. But man, that was. I didn't want that feeling again. That was not.
I think that's when we started really using Google Calendar.
Yeah, and like actually
really
writing
putting
out
like deadlines in because we were like, we never want to happen. Don't want this to happen ever again.
No, that was not a.
No.
Even with the one that stuck too, with the backing.
Yeah.
It's still, but she was.
Yeah.
They were happy with them, so that was the main goal. As long as they were happy with them, we just, it took a year off of our life from stress.
Right.
What about when we did the farmer market yard signs? Remember all the air bubbles?
Oh my gosh.
Oh,
Vinyl on Coroplast.
the vinyl on Coroplast and that was our first one doing it that way.
Right.
And you remember like taking the little pins and then trying
the air bubbles out.
Trying to get them oh my. But then we tried to make it so like just so perfect, and remember we wrapped them up in a blanket.
They were like little sign babies.
They were like, there's so many things like with business. When you start a business, it's like you said, like sign babies.
Right.
Like you have to like protect it and feed it and like watch over it, and everything, and give it positive energy and pay attention to it, because you don't want anything else to happen to it. It's like all your life's it's your work every day.
Right. Well,
like you get up and you work towards it, and it's like an infant. It's like a child, and you provide the growth of it.
Yep.
Then of course, part of growing up is making mistakes, and so in business, you're gonna come to face the music.
Yep.
That's the best part. People can't face music, but that's what you gotta do. Like when you make a mistake, just face it. Just face it head on and take it, and hope that customer is not as mean as some can be. with they're not understanding, I guess you would say.
Right. Do you guys want to just clarify a little bit like what the business is?
Oh yeah. Uh, did you know, like, when you got hired in, did you know that the business was graphic design, apparel, signs, and banners? I mean, did you already kind of have that idea,
I did.
or did you just learn it when you came in it?
No, I knew because I had originally applied for it was either a secretary or HR position
HR.
at Goodwill. And I think I was on vacation because I had worked at a salvage yard. And I was like, okay, I have this bachelor's degree. I really need to get my crap together and use it. So I was on vacation. I took like a week off and I started applying for like different positions. And I just came across Goodwill. I was like, it's not quite graphic design, but it's not a junkyard. So I was like, I could do HR. I could do, like office work. So I put my application in. I wasn't even sure if it went through because it was like online fax. So I was like, okay, well, I think it went through. I got the email confirmation. Like a week later, I heard from Cheryl,
Yeah.
who's my supervisor at Goodwill, and she kind of clued me in and said, we have a graphic design job opened, and this is what it would entail. And by the way, the person you'd be working for is unable to move from the neck down.
Right.
You'd have to help him eat and like move his body and stuff and help him run his business. And she's like, are you comfortable with that? And I was like, sure. Like, okay, cool. Like, I'll check it out, talk to him.
And there were people too that I was trying to hire, and they did not want anything to do with like any of the feeding part or any like they just wanted to do graphic design, but when it came to like I had to give you something to eat or take you to the bathroom or all those different things, they're like, nope.
Right.
Like that, nope, not happening.
Right.
So that was kind of difficult, for a while. Like, but I don't know. I knew that eventually I would find the right person. It just took time, and here we are. And 7 years later.
Rocking it.
7 years later, still rocking it. And then who had thought that, coming out of it, we'd have this global brand called Inspire. It's been all over the world.
Australia,
Germany, the Paralympics.
Yep.
I mean, Brazil, Bahamas.
Yep.
Yeah. Shark Tank. I mean, think about from the brand Inspire and then going out and being able to take it out to LA and being on Shark Tank and stuff and having Damon John just pass it out everywhere. And then even, speaking of Damon John, the relationship with me meeting him a year into the business and then us staying in touch with each other from the power of social media, because that's where it all started with social media. Twitter at that.
Yeah.
Him following us and liking my story, and just, and what we do, being invited to the Damon John Academy, because that's kind of like where we got our focus, because we were kind of all over the place with all of our designs. I mean, we had so many designs that we were trying to like market. Like
we had
50.
all the things.
We did. We
thought they were amazing.
We did. Everything was amazing that we did. It was how it was. And they go to the Damon John Academy and, and here we are. We have like 2 tables set up of all of our shirt designs. And they're like, yeah, these are great, but which ones are you marketing? We're like, all of them.
Every single one of them.
And they're like, no, you gotta focus on one. And that really got us focused on the Inspire. That got us focused on the Inspire itself. But then after going to the middle school and speaking and how those kids were reacting to it.
Right.
That was pretty amazing to see that. Of course, that's where the quote comes from that I made, was I never knew how powerful one word could be till I wore it on a shirt. And that was true. I never knew that until I saw that reaction.
Can you describe the reaction?
The reaction the reaction in those kids' eyes, it was just like they wanted to be something or be better or do the best that they could ever be.
Right.
It was like they were glowing almost. 250 middle schoolers, all the way from what, 7th and 8th grade?
Yeah, that was at Swartz Creek, right?
Yeah, middle
Okay.
school. Yeah. And it was just, I was like, we got to do this publicly because we were kind of like keeping Inspired still kind of low key a little bit. But after that, we were just like, it's got to be. We must focus on it. And then a little bit after that, we went to Traverse City for the recon. If you remember, we went out to recon, and we made a lot of Inspire shirts, and whew, man, it took off. And people wanted the Inspire shirts. And remember how strict I was? We're keeping it black and white, black and white,
Right.
black and white. We would not do any colors. And people were like, when are you going to do more colors? I'm like, no, we're going to stick with black and white. We're sticking with the brand first. We're going to make sure we're not going to let them make the choice of our. We're not going to tell us what to do. We're going to make sure we keep control of it, but still, be nice about it. And then eventually we made more colors. And now, not just more colors.
It was Tyrone.
Tyrone was the
He
first.
brought his own shirts, and we were like, okay, you're tight with Eric. Been with him for a long time. We will do this for you.
Yeah, but then he posted on
He posted
social
on social media, and everybody was so mad.
Oh.
They were like, what?
They were like, what? We don't have these other colors.
A green shirt?
But it was, that was just from doing the other colors, and then of course, being able to start focusing on, the mantra, the mission, especially like this past year being on bed rest for 500 something days.
Mm-hmm.
That definitely, not cool. Definitely not a good thing to be in bed for that long.
Right.
But there's a lot of positive that we were able to pull from that. We were able to really get focused with Inspire and being able to do Inspire with like Flynn Inspire, Nurses Inspire, adding the other things except just the word Inspire, and then being able to write out the mission and, of course, a lifestyle change in the world, the mantra of it. It really, that's the biggest positive besides getting the new doctor and being able to get that pulmonologist out of what I've learned, what we've accomplished in those 500 days, like the Inspire stuff. And, it was supposed to launch at Macy's, but we had to push that back.
Yep.
That's all right,
Health
though.
first.
Yeah, that's all right, though. We'll get into Macy's and get back on track with that.
Yep.
That would be for sure. I remember when we had to move the shop.
That was a big job. I think it's like when you downsize. You get rid of a lot of stuff you don't need.
Boy, you downsized me when I went to L.A. I had no idea. I was so off in L.A. And you were like, this is a great opportunity to just start downsizing stuff. Because Eric will never know.
Have you ever looked for that paperwork?
I have no idea what
See?
you downsized.
Hell yeah.
I just know it was downsized. I still don't know. It's probably one time I was looking for something. I was like, where did that go? But
Nah, it was all doubles.
man,
Like double paperwork. We had like sheets and piles of like the same paper over and over and over again.
oh,
I filled a 50-gallon trash can with just stuff.
I know. I think it's just my upbringing, my childhood, holding on to things. Like I have like 5 or 6 tubs of sentimental like things. I don't know. It's like all my stuff when I was a child was in like this blue toy box,
Yeah.
this big wooden box, everything.
Mm-hmm.
So it was just like my Dr. Seuss and Mother Goose books and, you know, my puzzles. And there was no rhyme and reason to it. It was all just, this is it. This is my,
These are
this
my
is,
special treasures.
this is my,
right here.
yeah, yeah. It's just thinking about, I don't know what just sparked a story or a memory when we went to Washington, D.C. to go advocate. We went to speak in the House and the Senate for people with disabilities working
Mm-hmm.
and the importance of charitable giving.
Mm-hmm.
And oh man, so this was your first time on a plane, right?
Yes.
Yeah, you were pretty terrified.
I was okay.
Yeah, you were terrified.
I was holding it together, all right? Like,
You might want to
I
think
knew.
that. That's the Dramamine talking. So
I didn't take any Dramamine.
you didn't take any?
Uh,
You take it in the van, but you don't take it on a plane?
I was fine.
Wow.
I just knew I had to keep my crap together and get you on the plane because it takes a lot.
Oh, it did. Wasn't that amazing? Like, were you surprised on like how when you go from the power chair and then you get lifted up into like this
Yeah.
dolly with like this seat that like half my butt can hang on,
Right.
and then going down the aisle, and then you get transferred into an airplane seat? Like, why are planes not wheelchair
I don't
accessible?
know. It'd be so much easier if they just allowed an accessible seat and then like strapped you down.
And this was your first time flying. You remember we're all sitting there, and then we see them out on the runway, and I'm there. Then I told you when they stalled, I was like, they're looking at my chair right now, saying we cannot. Something's wrong here. And then they came on the plane, and then they said it's something about the life vest.
There was a missing life jacket.
Yeah, missing life jacket. And that was BS.
And you
'Cause
did
I
too.
told you.
You went, Jessie.
They're talking about
They're
me.
talking about
They're
my
talking
chair.
about me. I knew they were. And then all of a sudden, you saw a couple people, little corporate people with their clipboards, and
Right.
then they surround and they said, "We got a problem." That's what I told you. Your chair won't fit in the cargo underneath the plane.
I think the whole plane went,
Oh my gosh! I know, because you're holding everybody up.
right. Going to DC.
Going to DC's, they say, "Oh well, here's your options. You can stay on the plane and fly, but we can fly your chair, out to you on the next flight, but you're going to be in a regular chair, a desk chair,
Right.
for about 2 hours or so." And we're like, the next option is you can wait and get off, and we can fly you out at 3:00, which defeated the whole purpose because we were supposed to be there like at
Right.
11:30 in the morning. And then it was like the other option was you could ride the next flight, but there's only one first class, so that really wasn't even an option because you have to have a first class ticket, and the person next to you has to have a first class ticket too, because they won't let me fly alone, like by myself.
Right.
I have to have someone next to me when I fly, which I think they should discount that when they do that,
For sure.
but they don't.
Nope.
So, of course, our option, we stayed on the plane and said, "Go ahead, fly the chair out on the next flight." And then we get to the airport. Good thing we Facebook broadcast this though. That shows you social media again, because the Facebook broadcast, people at the actual Goodwill International Conference were watching the
They knew what
broadcast.
was going on.
They were watching this quest of Eric and Jessie getting to DC. Then they were watching it. So like we didn't have to have an excuse because they could watch it live.
Right. And they
Which-
were too.
they
when
were.
we got there, they were all
Yeah.
like, "What happened?"
Yeah. When we get to the airport, and remember, they transferred me into like they kept me on the dolly, didn't they? They were rolling me. Remember
Yeah, you were on the wheelchair dolly.
Oh my gosh, remember I had all the straps around me? I was going through the hospital like Hannibal Lecter.
Yeah.
Or no, going through the airport.
Because you were strapped. Nobody realized that you used a wheelchair and you were strapped in a chair for that. So, like, people were looking at you like they were transporting a prisoner.
I did look like one.
Yeah, like you were all strapped in a chair. And nobody knew.
Took me to
what
the
was
Delta
going on.
Situation room.
It was called the protocol room.
Oh, it was?
And I called it the situation room
Oh,
because that's
you
where they
renamed
stuck
it.
us. to deal with the situation.
And then remember me looking for furniture to get transferred
Yes,
into?
because they were going to keep you in that little teeny tiny aisle chair.
Right, which would cause a pressure wound, which could have why I ended up in bed for 500
Could have been.
And then we sit there, we transfer. I finally get transferred to like the desk chair with wheels. With wheels, it had wheels, didn't it?
Yeah, I had wheels.
And it swiveled. It swiveled. What were we thinking? But that was the best option.
Well, that was the best, yeah.
Because the arms came off.
Mm-hmm.
And then I'm in there. I did the Facebook broadcast. I'm like, I'm in Delta situation. I'm like, call all the airlines and ask why they're not wheelchair accessible.
Right.
I did the call of action right there. I was like, this is what happened. And then finally the chair gets there. And then John goes down there to go on the runway. And then they come back. I was like, I told you. I'm like, something's not right again.
Yeah.
And they're like, we got a problem. Your chair won't move. It's on the runway. I'm like, man.
How did we?
They lifted it. They put it up on like a forklift and brought it into the into the building so I could go downstairs. Remember we went through all those like little secret entryways?
Yeah. How did we get you down there though? We didn't take you in the desk.
Yeah,
chair.
you rolled me in the desk chair.
For real?
Yeah.
We didn't find like a regular. Oh yeah, that was another thing. They don't have like regular wheelchairs
No.
in the airport. Or Delta
So
didn't have
they
one.
didn't have any at the Reagan International. And remember, so we get to my chair and I get to look at it. And then I'm like, okay, well, just transfer me. And then we can see like what's going on with, I can kind of assess the situation.
Mm-hmm.
And then, of course, I tell you about the tubing in the back and you were like, oh, it's a little pinch. And we got that taken care of. But then remember, as soon as I went to puff forward, the chair is pulled to the right. Like it was the worst alignment ever. And of course, we find out that the brake, it broke, but it would still drive. But at least they did call someone to come out and meet us at the hotel to fix it, and they did pay for the transportation to get to the hotel.
Yeah.
So, but remember me trying to drive, like every puff,
It was like an arc.
yeah, every puff to the right,
Yeah,
every
real
puff
line.
to the right, and
Yeah,
I was
it was
like,
rough.
oh my gosh.
But it was an awesome trip though. We met a lot of people and
Yeah, it was amazing.
I think we made a lot of impact.
We did. I think that they should have thought about like our schedule though, going from house to Senate, because we were like going, like
Yeah.
that's a far drive. I mean, like
Yeah, there's a
on
lot of
foot and
space.
wheels.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I mean, remember how tight our schedule was
It was
to
very
go
tight.
talk to the senators and stuff. Like, oh man, here we go, going to the House. Like, when's your next appointment? Oh, it's in a half hour over at the Senate. Here we go again. Remember, we would pass the Supreme Court all the time too.
Right.
And at that time that they were protesting. Oh, don't forget about that. We ran into the protest.
Yeah.
Oh
Weren't there
man.
there were several hundred people arrested that day?
Yeah, the Capitol
There's a
Police
lot.
don't play.
No.
Not at all. The Capitol was
We were
cool.
like, we're gonna go over here.
The Capitol was
All the
cool.
way over here.
The place that we stayed at was pretty cool. The restaurant.
Mm-hmm. That was neat.
I liked that there was a lot of accessible transportation.
Yeah.
I was very surprised on
You
that.
call in 20 minutes later, there was an accessible taxi
Yeah.
to take you anywhere.
I was surprised on the
Yeah.
accessibility too. So that was all a plus.
Mm-hmm.
Even though that the chair broke, at least the guy fixed it enough where we could drive the next day to do our action,
Right.
to do what we were there for.
Right. Could you explain a little bit more about what that was? Like, what was the purpose of your trip?
The purpose of going to DC was to speak about people with disabilities owning businesses or being employed, and then the importance of charitable giving. Then there's a grant. I think it's the rehab grant, the rehabilitation money that comes to the states in the country is what we were discussing on.
Mm-hmm.
Making sure that that the states are funded, but there's not only that, but there's also work available for people with disabilities, or if they want to own their own businesses, and making sure that there's voc rehab available to be able to work with people, to coach them, or to help them with business plan, to mentor, to kind of help them through that process.
I think it's Goodwill on Hill. They do a yearly, it's like a yearly advocacy
Remember the
event.
difference between Democrat and Republican? You could tell without even asking. We knew exactly what we were at
Yep.
because Democrat was very, what would you say, like it was more empathy, like more we care, or like it was, it was more like a caring kind of thing. And when we got into Republican, it was more like numbers crunching. Remember, like the difference was that like they wanted to know the numbers. The Democrat was more like the Democratic offices were more like, oh, tell us more, or, we care, or give us a hug, or, and then, but I remembered, which was so clear when we were at the Republicans, one, I don't remember who we were seeing, and we were in the office, we were all talking, and there was protesters outside the window, and they were like, I don't know, they're protesting about medical or something. We don't know anymore. They're so tuned out from it because there's so much protest out there. People like ranting outside and stuff out the window that they've tuned it out. So like you learn the best way is to set up that interview, to set up that one-on-one, because while we were there was like 15 different people dropping in, remember, with their folders. That's the other thing. They had these, man, so much money spent on these folders with their brochure and the mission and what they were trying to, advocate about and stuff. And we asked him, like, what makes you look at those? And he was like, man, I just take a day. The one guy said, I take like one day and I'll go through a whole stack and just kind of skim through it. So it was kind of eye opening to hear that stuff, like what they look for.
Right.
Yeah, that was a good trip.
Yep.
You didn't go to LA
No, we didn't.
or Vegas.
Mm-mm.
The Inspire party in Vegas and LA, that was awesome.
I've heard stories.
Yeah. What else? You think of anything else that like?
I think one of the coolest things we've done with Easy Awareness is like trained other people with disabilities to build their skills as graphic artists and like build their skills, period, to be employable.
Yeah, I mean, think about some of the people that, we've had someone with like, I'm not saying that we go, hey, we need to, if you're deaf or blind, come, but it's just happened that way. Like we've had someone that's blind and we've learned how to communicate and like work with them and then figure out like how they're going to work in the workplace or what they really want to do for work. And then remember, we've had a few people that were deaf. And with me communicating with a person that's deaf, I'm not able to use my hands. So using sign language with them was not, I was not able to do that. So I had to learn a form of communication with my straw. Remember, I would touch it and we would start at the beginning of the alphabet and I'd touch it twice. And then we start at the end of the alphabet. And then I would give it different cues. We'd use body language and eye contact and things like that. Yeah. But I mean,
I remember the one person, she was so geeked about like pursuing being a graphic artist. She went out and got her DBA.
Yeah,
like the week after she
awesome.
did a work assessment with us. Yeah, that was amazing. She's like, "Yep, I'm gonna do this," and she felt empowered and she did it. She went and did it for herself, and I think she had a few jobs lined up. And
yeah, it's been great to be able to help other people launch their businesses or, start work. So
it's been fun.
I know it has.
7 years has gone by fast.
It has gone by fast.
Like,
it's interesting. The first day that you worked is the first day I moved into my house.
Right.
So it's like double anniversary. Yeah, it's always marked. This has been fun today.
Yeah.
It's a good way to spend our day, our morning. Except we're not sipping on coffee right now. Normally we would be sipping on coffee and
Right. The coffee we can never get right for some reason. Like we're still trying to figure out how to place that.
sipping on coffee and talking about our pre-production for the day.
Yep.
At least we do have one client today at 2:00. So
Yeah, we do.
that'll be good.
Then I'm off to orientate my child into junior high.
I'm off to just hanging out with some folks.
Right.
Just a normal day, you know.
Yeah.
It's been good. It's good talk.
Right.
Good catching up with you. Even though we catch up like I'm pretty much.
I know. We just spent like 15 minutes in the van talking
I
about
know
random
we do this like we
Yep.
do this in the actual day.
Yeah.
Like in my van, we just sit there and people watch and talk.
We get so hungry we end up writing songs about our food while we're
That's where "Beat My Belly Like a Bongo" came from. That's a top song. It's one of my hit songs, "Beat My Belly Like a Bongo." That happened in the van.
Right. I was brushing crumbs off your stomach and you said it sounds like a bongo.
It did. Then
We recorded it.
and then the song emerged. That's how it happens. You know, it's the spontaneous, organic
Right.
creativity that emerges. I know it's sometimes when we're sitting in the van, eating food, drinking coffee, I feel like we're like police or something on a stakeout. I love that people watch, though. You gotta admit,
Yeah.
it's great people watch.
It is. You learn a lot.
You
from
do.
Watching people.
Yeah. You learn how people don't know how to open a door. Oh, we got.
Yeah.
So,
Well,
how do we wrap it up?
that's easy awareness.
That's easy awareness. Like,
Right.
that's it. This without awareness, you're invisible, or what?
Right.
Like, we're pretty aware today.
Right. Well, thank you, Eric.
Oh no, thank you, Jessie.
Right.
It's been great. I can't wait to talk about more 7 years.
Yup.
No, that'd be 14 years.
Yup.
Wow, your child will be in college.
Fast. All right. Let's go get this done.